president, no one wanted to be the person who was coming out like,
Oh yeah,
like,
you're cheating.
You cheated. You modified the character. People were just like, oh, I guess down tilt has more range than I thought, or like, something would kill early, and they'd be like, oh, I guess I was just DIing bad. When it turns out, the damage was modified. So it's like, a lot of stuff can happen just because people don't want to look like the person who's complaining the most.
Yeah, I wonder what would give it away. Like,
yeah, I at least in the specific instance with Pichu, I don't remember what it was specifically. It was just that, like, so a couple players were, after like a couple weeks, were like, hey, this feels a little fishy, and so they just like I think even more than like the actual like moves, it was just the fact that this person was so insistent on just like playing at their one setup, so they just like checked the setup, and then they found out it had been modified, and it wasn't the melee that it said it was.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, do you imagine, like, maybe they were the only one that got caught, but there's like plenty of like cheaters we just like never noticed?
There's always the possibility, because like it was the stuff like I feel like people don't talk about it as much anymore, but there was real talk around Arduinos before, like just like sort of changing out, and it's kind of like 99% of tournaments don't have like a real like effective way to like check someone's controller. Like no TO's gonna unscrew a person's controller mid-tournament and like hook it up and like see if everything's okay. So theoretically, as long as you're not like super blatant with it, you could like subtly adjust some things and like get away with some stuff, which I'm for the record not endorsing. But theoretically, you could do that, and like we just don't have like the resources to handle something like that. Like I used to play the Pokemon trading card game, and so like when I went to like the national championships and stuff, we'd share space with like the video game championships, and the Pokemon video game side, they have like the Pokemon company or Nintendo or whatever, they would have these like essentially like machines they'd hook your DS or whatever up to, and they could tell if any of the Pokemon that you had were like cheated or hacked in any way. Just by like examining the values. So like theoretically something like that would work well for Melee, but the problem is we
don't have the resources.
We very famously do not have that Nintendo money, Nintendo resources, so we don't really have a feasible way to do that. So we're just kind of like, okay, don't cheat, please, thank you.
I keep a nose in my controller because I know they ain't checking shit.
Yeah.
The takeaway from all this is like, if you want to cheat, this is the game for it.
I mean, but also like, I don't know. What do you gain by cheating in Melee? Like
you can imagine somebody that mods says like every third laser is a power shield, so like you don't notice.
Okay, we're getting into the game now. All right.
Yeah, enough cheating talk.
Yep. Let me swap them over because it's perfect. All right. Luigi Falco. Starting on Yoshi's, which is interesting. I think Luigi appreciates the small space because he has. Yeah,
he has like a three frame nair, and he like all his options are like really fast.
Yes.
Sad.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and like one thing that Luigi like really struggles for is like he doesn't have really good aerial mobility. So like if you fade back or just like trying to kind of like space him out, it's really hard for him to get in, because like the way that he gets in is with wave dashing. And like one thing about wave dashing is like you couldn't do shit by like 12 frames, so you are totally vulnerable when you're like approaching. The only good thing about it is like he can crouch cancel while approaching, but also other characters can do that and like better, like with dash.
Yes. It's definitely, wave dashing is just sort of, I like to think of it as just like a macro movement option. Like it's very, especially with Luigi, it's very good at covering a large amount of space in a short amount of time. But like you said, you leave yourself vulnerable for too much. You kind of have to take that into account. It's not just like a freebie approach option.
Yeah, sometimes like, for example, at least in the matchup with Falcon or Oh, I think like it extends to every character. One thing that you should do is try to catch that wave dash in with a Neo, like with an object, because like he's totally invulnerable, and more with Falco. And like one thing that makes this matchup really hard for Luigi, it's just like the lasers just like stops you from doing
Yeah.
anything. So like that's one thing that I feel Sam is not doing too well is like uh keeping Jarg at bay with the lasers.
Yeah, because that's the thing when your primary way of getting in is wave dashing in. It's a very horizontal movement option, so it becomes a lot easier for your opponent to cover that because they don't have to think about all the vertical space as opposed to characters that might mix up by coming in with aerials or mixing up and moving behind things like that.
Yeah. I think Sam is struggling is just like keeping like trying to like how do I say it is like trying to prevent Jark for coming in because like if we see that like down punch is a really good move and it's like kind of hard to avoid or to contest and he kind of like trying to like stop it but he's just getting outplayed every time.
Yeah, I would like to see, and that's sort of why I think Yoshi's might not have been the best for Falco. I feel like the way Falco wants to play this matchup is being very defensive. Shooting a lot of lasers and then doing a lot of retreating back airs and up tilts because we've been talking about, Luigi has a very linear approach. And it can be very predictable. So if you just spend your time covering those options, you can shut out Luigi really well. Whereas I feel like Dan Sam was doing a lot of the sort of standard Falco stuff of approaching laser and then a
Run back.
tilt or a back air like right in their face, and it's like you don't have to do that versus Luigi. You don't have to sort of give him that chance to get that free neutral hit. You can just hang back.
Yeah, you're totally right. I think like sometimes, at least with myself, it's kind of like you get more pressure for holding ground, so it's like it feels more natural just going in. But that's like something that I guess like we as a players have to realize sometimes, because like if you see the past game, Jarg is getting his openings because Falco is like trying to interact in situations that he cannot win.
Mm-hmm.
Dash attack super punishable. It's missing a hitbox in the last hit, so if you get hit on dash attack, you can grab it like 10 out of 10 times if
Yeah.
you wait enough.
Absolutely, it's a very punishable move. It's only good in very select situations.
Yeah, and even then, it's like,
Even then, it's like you can usually do other things that work just as well or better.
Also, other thing that I noticed that I also do myself is like if you see here, he's respecting a lash dash, but it's like he doesn't know if he's actually like capable of doing a perfect leg dash to like actually like don't contest it. He just respects it.
Yeah, Luigi, it's one of those things where you kind of have to understand that like the character has a good ledge dash in terms of the distance that they can get, but that doesn't mean that they have a good amount of invincibility on
Yeah.
that ledge dash. It's very much, you don't have to let them get back to center instantly. You can do a lot of like short hop back errors to cover the options. And Luigi famous for the fast aerials, but doesn't necessarily have ground moves of the same caliber in terms of challenging. So you can get a lot off of that as Falco.
Yeah, other thing is like it's kind of weird because we are so used to having like characters that have a real recovery, and with Luigi, it's like he doesn't have a mix-up. He has to go for like ledge every time. He cannot land on stage. So it's like if you just hang out on ledge, he's done. He's just like he's not coming back ever. It's like if you see like every time I feel like because he's not that comfortable with the matchup, and also like Jarg is kind of like mess him up. He doesn't. He's really afraid of not getting getting reversal. So he's like he's respecting more than he should. Like right there. Oh, right there. It's just grab ledge and he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Also, it's kind of easy to point out the mistakes when you're just like watching and you don't have the pressure of like, oh my god, if I lose, I'm out of the tournament.
No, yeah, absolutely. I don't. I'm not sitting here being like, oh, Dan what a bad player or whatever. It is last stock also. More just, talking about the matchup in general, teaching people a little bit about the game plan, helping them think a little more.
Yeah. Also, it's like we see the adaptation from Damn. Also, we see adaptation from Jarg. But I think like maybe I'm feeling Damstein is gonna take this game if nothing like major happens.
Oh.
He got it. He got it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, that was a bad option.
To find a way out of the corner. Oh, up smash is a good way to do it. Alright.
Let's see.
Just needs to not push too much.